When your thinking is negative and the words coming out of your mouth are negative, you've probably fallen into the cult of negativity. Negativity is like a cult because a lot of the time you don't even realize that you're in it, right? You're surrounded by other negative people because like attracts like, who are complaining about things and jumping to worst case scenarios. So there's really no one to check the negative thinking. And you've most likely had a cult leader at some point in your life. Someone who brought you into this habit of negative thinking. It could have been a parent, caretaker, a best friend growing up, a boyfriend, girlfriend, someone who you had a close connection with and who was able to influence their negativity on you. And when that's what we are exposed to growing up or exposed to from someone who we have a close connection with, then it tends to become our default. And once it's the default, it's really hard to break away from, just like a cult. If this topic resonates with you, hit the like and subscribe. I put content similar to this out every week. So negativity sneaks in quietly, as I'm sure you've noticed, and it sneaks in with multiple disguises, right? I'm just a realist. I see things for what they are. I'm not living in Pollyanna land. I'm not sugarcoating things. It is what it is. And you end up running on autopilot with that negative mindset and thinking that there's no other way to think. One of the hardest reasons to escape the negativity cycle is that it socially bonds us with our friends, with our families, with coworkers. People love complaining to each other, right? Emotions come up when we complain, we empathize with each other. And if somebody complains about something, then oftentimes the other person will say, oh, I'm so sorry that that happened. Listen to what happened to me. And then it's just like this tennis match of like negative situations, right? Over and over again. And even if you want to add something positive to the conversation or try to get people to look at things differently, like glass half full maybe, you start to question yourself and say, well, I'm going to sound annoying if I say that. No one's going to want to hear this. So you end up not saying anything and just going along with it. And this is exactly how we stay in the cycle of negativity. But at what cost are we keeping these negative friendships and this negative cycle going? I get that it feels good to gossip sometimes. It feels good to complain about things. It feels good to bond with people. Well, the cost of that is your high frequency and your high vibration and you existing at and thriving at the highest level possible in this world. When you're pumping out negativity and you're doing nothing but complaining, jumping to worst case scenarios, it's dragging you down. And you start attracting those things. I remember when I used to participate in a lot of negativity myself, I was getting into car accidents. I was constantly like losing my keys. Things would break on me. It just seemed like this everlasting cycle of things going wrong. I became certified in Reiki, energy healing. And I started doing Reiki on myself. I started doing Reiki on my clients. And that really helped to bring up my vibration. And it helped me to open my eyes to how much the negativity was actually impacting my life. And ever since then, my life has literally changed. I used to be afraid to say things like this, but I have not gotten into a car accident and I don't know how long. I don't lose things anymore. Things aren't mysteriously breaking on me. I'm not running into crabby people all the time. My life has literally changed since I started becoming more positive. As most of you know, in physics, like attracts like. So it only makes sense that if we're putting out negativity, we're going to get negativity back. If we put out positivity, we're going to get that back. So how do we take that negativity that we're so used to managing and we're so used to talking about and thriving on and change the habit into being positive about things? Well, one of the most powerful things that I've learned in my life is the power of having gratitude for things. So instead of complaining about something, you flip it and you say, you know what? Instead of complaining about that, I'm going to name 5 things that I'm grateful for today. And it takes work at the beginning because you're like we talked about, your autopilot, your default is just to go to the negative. Oh my God, I can't believe this is happening to me. You know, this, that, and everything else. I'm such a victim. It takes being mindful of your thoughts. And once you start noticing the you start noticing like each negative thought, and every time that you do, flip it into something positive, something that you can be grateful for. No matter what, there's always something we can be grateful for. Grateful for our breath, grateful for our eyesight, grateful for taste. That's one of the simplest ways to start this, is like go with the senses, your sense of hearing, your sense of touch. I mean, they really are like precious gifts to us. A lot of the gurus like Wayne Dyer, Eckhart Tolle, Oprah, they all talk about gratitude. And I never understood it for years. I was like, what is all this gratitude thing? I thought it was BS, to be honest with you. But when I started practicing it myself, I totally understood what they were talking about. Because once I got into the habit of practicing gratitude, saying thank you for this and thank you for that, my vibration raised, my frequency raised. I became happier. And I started to notice that when I was around negative Nellies, my stomach would start getting sort of tight, and I could physically feel sensations where I didn't want to be around those people anymore. It was like my body was just rejecting them. And in that, you may lose friendships, you may lose close connections. You can keep people on the periphery, but you may not have such a close relationship with the same people anymore. And what comes with that can be a lonely phase, because you can't tolerate being around negative people anymore. And when most of the people in your life are negative, well, that leaves you in a kind of a crappy position of, well, who am I going to hang out with now? But not to worry, because the good people, I don't want to be judgy here, because we've all been negative in our lives. It's just survival mechanism. But once you've learned to escape the negativity and get into the positive mindset, you can totally handle and get through. Because on the other side of that is you being happy, you being joyful, you attracting all the good in life that there is for you. Nothing is worth your happiness, your joy, your success in life. If you notice, the most successful people in life are generally not negative Nellies. There are people who are optimists. That's what got them to where they are. Instead of looking at the glass half empty, they see the glass half full and say, oh, I see an opportunity there. Let me go check that out. And it's like, if they didn't see it that way, they would have never tried it, and they wouldn't have gotten to where they are in life. And that is true for every area in life, right? Friendships, work, mental health, physical health, all of the above. So what's the first thing that we can do to help get out of this cult of negativity? Well, it's mindfulness, because mindfulness is going to help you to check the thoughts as they're cycling through your brain, check the words coming out of your mouth, and when you catch through mindfulness that it's negative, that gives you the opportunity to then flip it into something more positive and have gratitude instead of the negativity. And mindfulness can come to us through things like yoga, meditation, journaling, sitting on a chair for 5 minutes and just breathing. I know meditation sounds intimidating for some people. It's like, wait, I have to sit in silence, sit with my thoughts? Yeah, that is one way to meditate, but it's not the only way to meditate. There are so many awesome guided meditations from like 5 minutes up to over an hour on YouTube. So if meditation doesn't come naturally to you, certainly do one of those. You're going to get practically the same result. Step number 2, mentioned it a little while ago, is gratitude. Practice gratitude. So when you feel those negative thoughts and sensations coming in, when you start noticing that you're speaking negatively, catch it through the mindfulness and flip it and say, I'm not going to complain. I'm going to think of something that I can be grateful for in this moment. And it can be literally anything. There's sun in the sky right now. A squirrel just ran past me. I'm breathing, right? That's what's going to help to lift your vibration and lift your frequency so that you're living in a happier state of mind. Step number 3, minimize your time reading, listening to, and watching the news. The news is so negative, and so is most of what's on social media. And it's also so addictive. People are making tons and tons of money knowing that we love negativity. And they're pumping all of this out on purpose and leaving out the positive things that happen in the world. I'm not saying don't stay informed. I think it's so important to stay informed. But we don't need to be informed of every single negative thing that happens every single day. It's like there's always breaking news. Is there really always breaking news? No, they want you to feel that way so that you become addicted and you feel like you always have to watch it. But that negativity is lowering your vibration. So instead of the hours that a lot of us spend watching news, absorbing it, cut that down to like 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes in the evening. I guarantee you'll get probably all that you need to know in that amount of time. Step number 4, be mindful of what you put into your body. Your food is your mood. So eating foods that, I always feel like a dork when I say things like this, but it just really is true. And I know from my own personal experience that when you eat foods that are high in nutritional value, have minerals and vitamins, and are not ultra processed, you just feel so much better. A lot of people aren't even aware that what they're putting into their body is affecting their mood and affecting their negativity. I used to be such a junk food addict, probably for most of my life, if I'm to be honest. When I think back, it really impacted my mood and it impacted my anxiety level. And all of those things create a negative outlook, create negativity within you. You know, when you don't feel good, you don't have anything good to say. You're not seeing things accurately. You're seeing things with like a cloud over them. So that is a very important hack to being more positive in life, is taking care of your body and feeding it what it needs to thrive. Step number 5 is ask yourself, what are my passions and hobbies in life? And get involved in those things, whether it's pottery, whether it's gardening, whether it's music. I'm going to start doing Toastmasters this coming week to better my public speaking skills. And I'm really looking forward to it. But you really have to keep yourself busy with things that you enjoy doing. Life can't always just be about work and just be about tasks and just be about taking care of kids. There has to be things in life that you're able to incorporate that you enjoy. And those things are really going to boost your positivity because it's something that you really enjoy doing, and you're going to be around other people who enjoy doing the same thing. And you're there for a positive reason, not to gossip, not to talk about worst case scenarios, but just to do something that is fun and enjoyable. So that's what I have for you to escape this cult of negativity. It's possible, it's doable, and it's so worth it. That's the most important part. That is the most important part, is that you're going to feel so much better for it. Your joy is going to come back. Your happiness is going to come back. Your vibration is going to raise. Your frequency is going to raise. You're going to be like a whole new person. If this is something that you're working through and you don't want to go through it alone, I offer one-on-one coaching. Website's in the description. You can learn more there.